Hi, everybody. Charles Hoskinson here, live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Actually, it's kind of cold and gloomy, although the snow is starting to melt a little bit. Boy, it was a terrible whiteout when I was driving down from Cheyenne to here. It's been a tough few days. So, a few updates, and you know what? I guess we get to finally do an AMA. How about that? Surprise AMA. Yay! Surprise AMA. Woo! Well, hello, Khalid from Morocco. Lovely country. A lot of stuff going on. Committee just signed the latest change management document. I was the last in the chain, so I signed it today for changing the D parameter from 0.52 to 2.5. That means we are just about to cross a threshold here in a little bit for D to fall below 5, which means more than half of all the blocks will be made by the community, not the OPFT nodes. That's a major milestone, and at this current rate of velocity, it looks like D will decrement to 0 around March. So lots to do, lots to talk about. The product update in 2 days, we'll go ahead and talk about that. But it crossed my desk today, and I was really happy and excited about that. It seemed like yesterday that D was equal to 1, and people were complaining that we delayed it by an epoch. And now we're almost at 50%. For those of you who want parameter level changes, K level changes, they are coming, and there's an enormous internal conversation about it. And we've written up a PowerPoint presentation and a philosophy document about why things were designed the way that they're designed. My chief scientist has put an enormous amount of time into this. Agalos is very passionate about this particular topic. And what I'm going to do is similar to the security video that I did, where I did an hour and a half discussion about a best practice for security. I'm going to actually do a screencasted video where I talk about this philosophy document. And I'm going to read the entire document with annotations with you guys and kind of talk through it. It might end up being quite a long video. It could be several hours long. But I think it's really important to talk around the design philosophy of this. You know, it's kind of funny. Everybody, when they see a cryptographic paper or math paper, they tend to just say, okay, you guys figure that out. No one's an expert in cryptography or math, and you don't really get strong opinions about it. But game theory, despite the fact that the topic's as complex and in some cases more complex, you tend to get a lot of opinions, and everybody's a game theorist. So there was an enormous amount of thought that went into the design of the system, the parameters of the system, everything from the reward functions to other things. And it's very important that we explain that thought process in as detailed of a way as possible, at least the philosophy behind it. Then I feel that the community is in a really good position to start working on the change management. It is my position that I'd love to see K largely increased. I do think that the software needs some improvements to get there, especially partial delegation portfolios, and some enhancements into the operation of staking. Especially I'd love to see the existence of hybrid wallets, where you have a cold part and a hot part. And we've had a lot of conversations about that, and we will present some of the progress in that matter at the product updates, if not this October, certainly in November. A lot of commercialization going along, a lot of things going on and floating around, and commercial teams working hard. As I mentioned, we have a lot of deals in the pipeline. The Wyoming event was half political, half sales. We were really looking into e-voting, and we had very productive conversations along those lines. It is my goal that Cardano e-voting software is used in political primaries, and my hope is for eventually to be used in municipal and state and eventually federal elections, and then in national elections for countries like Ethiopia, Mongolia, and other places. Now, there is a long road to get there, and many little victories that have to begin, but this event in Wyoming was kind of the opener into that conversation. There were 7 independent parties at the Independent National Convention, and we had a chance to talk to leadership of many of them. We will also engage in conversation with the Libertarian Party leadership as well, and at the very least we could talk about e-voting and also blockchain-based voting for primaries. That would be a great start. And we'll also look into the state of Wyoming for that as well. So we'll tell you guys about that in time. We've already gotten a lot of inquiries about e-voting software. We tend to get them along with the PRISM inquiries. It's actually quite easy to start conversations, but there are a lot of security properties that are very important, like end-to-end verifiability, hybrid ballots where you have both a digital and a paper ballot, delegation mechanics as well as privacy mechanics that are, interesting on a case-by-case basis. So we'll keep chipping away at that. A lot of Goguen stuff to talk about, but I'm going to reserve all of that for 2 days from now for the product update. We're right in the middle of all Goguen. Metadata was the very first part of it. We already have some commercialization of the platform as a result of metadata. More to come. And then obviously lots of smart contract stuff to come. So this update and the November update are going to be very, Goguen focused. And also a lot of Voltaire news as well. We're still on schedule for an HFC event in, I think, November or December. I can't remember. But that's going to be carrying a lot of things related to multi-sig, token locking. There's some ledger rule changes, so it has to be an HFC event. And that opens up a lot of the windows for Goguen foundations as well as voting on chain. So Fund 3 will benefit very heavily from that. And we're right in the guts of Daedalus right now, building the voting center, the identity center, QR code work, all this stuff. It's a lot of stuff. The cell phone app was released last week, kind of an early beta. It'll go through a lot of rapid iterations. Every few weeks we'll update it. Google Play is a great foundation to launch things on because it's so easy to push updates to people automatically. So you can rapidly iterate and be very agile in that framework. And we've already had 3,500 people involved heavily in the innovation management platform idea scale, and we've got numerous bids from everything from John Buck in the sociocracy movement to others, and a lot of people want to help us improve that, and we're going to see steady and systematic growth there. We're still chipping away at product marketing. Leza she's doing a good job. Meet with her 2-3 times a week, and right now it's Ouroboros, Ouroboros, Ouroboros. We're doing competitive analysis of Ouroboros versus EOS, Tezos, Algorand, F2, and Polkadot. We think that's a good set of people, and we think we have a really good way of explaining it. David Orr has already made some great content. We're going to release that soon alongside some other content, and we'll keep chipping away at that. We also just hired a creative director for IO Global. His name's Adam. Incredibly experienced creative director. He's worked for Mercedes-Benz and dozens of other companies. He does very good work, and he's been doing this for well over 20 years. And so the very first set of things he's going to do is work with commercial and marketing on product marketing. So in addition to building great content, our hope is to make that content as pretty as possible. And we have Rod heavily involved in that as well to talk about distribution channels and see if we can amplify the distribution message and really get a lot of stuff done. Last thing to mention, iOS for Catalyst, we're working on that. We submitted it to the Apple Store, the iOS Store, but it takes a little longer to get approval for that than it does with Google Play. But that's been submitted, and it's whenever Apple approves it or not. It takes a little longer for cryptocurrency stuff in them. Wikipedia kind of rattled the cage a little bit. Through an intermediary, we got contact with Jimmy Wales. Larry Sanger, the other co-founder, also reached out to me, and the Everpedia guys reached out to me. So here's where we stand. We have an article. It has solidified. It's currently labeled as unreliable, and you should not believe the things that are said in it, which is David Gerard's work if you look at the edits. We will work with the community and try to get that article to a fair and balanced representation of Cardano, and especially after the product marketing comes through and we clearly explain the product, I think the Cardano article can be massively strengthened. I've told Rod to work with some specialized people to try to get that done, but we are going to work very hard at a systematic approval campaign for all of the scientific articles related to blockchain technology in the cryptocurrency space. They're just terrible. If you go to the proof of work article, the proof of stake, or all these things, they're just terrible. They're not well written, they're out of date, and they don't reflect an adequate sampling of the science. So I did talk to my chief scientist, Agalos, and what we're going to do is reach out to the scientific counterparts at most of the major cryptocurrency groups that are doing research and see if they want to work with us at an industry-wide effort to systematically improve the scientific articles in our industry so that they're a fair and balanced representation of what the current state of the art are, the criticisms, the trade-offs, as well as the reference base. And of course, obviously, we'll do quite well in that respect because we've done the science and we're the inheritor of it. But it's a shame because when people search proof of stake on Google, usually Wikipedia results are highly biased. We care about Wikipedia because Google cares about Wikipedia and Amazon cares about Wikipedia. If you ask Alexa, who is Charles Hoskinson, the reason why Alexa knows is because it's reading directly from the Wikipedia page. If I didn't have a Wikipedia page, Alexa would know that. So if somebody says, Alexa, what is Cardano? It's going to read directly from the Wikipedia page. And we can either just pretend that reality doesn't exist, or we can accept it, and we as a community, working with partners and the broader cryptocurrency community, can universally improve the quality of cryptocurrency pages. There's been a pattern of commercial censorship on Wikipedia for cryptocurrencies in general since Bitcoin itself. In fact, I think the Bitcoin article was actually taken down once back in, might have been 2010 or 2009, but basically, Wikipedia has not been a friend of cryptocurrencies. That's why Everpedia exists. And actually, their founders reached out to me, and I talked to them over Twitter through PMs, and we agreed to actually do a podcast. So I'm going to do a StreamYard stream with these guys, and they'll come on, talk all about Everpedia and what they do and how they are, and we'll kind of go through the challenges that they've encountered and how their platform works and so forth. And obviously, if they want to ever leave that terrible ecosystem EOS and come to the holy great land of Cardano, we'd be there to help them out. But at least they can tell the world how amazing their product is and also the challenges they're having to overcome. We've also been in great contact with Larry Sanger. He's going to do an internal seminar at some point with us. And talk about some protocols he's been developing since he left Wikipedia, specifically to decentralize knowledge management and have a truly decentralized encyclopedia. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope that presentation gives us some inspiration as an ecosystem of things we can do. Now, that's a great piece of infrastructure regardless, and after we learn a lot more about it and we talk to a lot of people in the ecosystem, if we can't get people to move on over, it would be really good to see through IdeaScale and the innovation management platform for people to utilize the DC fund to build their own variant of Wikipedia on Cardano. So in the coming months, there'll certainly be funding available. If you guys are so passionate about this particular problem that you want to go solve it, then I'd be happy to play Elon Musk with the Hyperloop and write a white paper on a protocol design and really give a good first start. And then you guys can go and try to commercialize that technology as Cardano native assets and Polity smart contracts, in addition to other pieces of technology that have to be brought in to make it practical. So right now we're in just let's talk to everybody phase, and we'll talk to the Everpedia guys. We're going to talk to Larry, and we're going to see whoever else is in this game. And of course, we have to accept the incumbency as it is. So we're working with obviously the Wikipedia side to improve the quality of not only our article, but all of the articles on the scientific side of things, so that there's a fair and accurate representation of information. One of the reasons why I'm so concerned about this is that I am very worried that Cardano projects will get commercially censored like we were commercially censored. So yes, we do have a page, but it took 5 years to get there, and we're a multi-billion-dollar project with hundreds of thousands of people. If you guys are doing cutting-edge, novel, interesting stuff, I don't want your experience to be the same as ours, where you have to wait 5 years for your project to get a page, even after governments adopt it. That's absurd. No one should be censored, ever. So this is very well a fight for the entire ecosystem, the entire community, not just Cardano, but all cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano have all faced commercial censorship and article deletions during their tenure. So I don't want you guys to go through that. And I'm hoping we can improve that situation, but you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And frankly, the time has come for Wikipedia to be fully decentralized and liberated from a centralized organization and massively variable quality in the editor base. If Legends of Valor has a page, but Cardano didn't have one until recently, Titcoin, a pornography coin from 2015 that's deprecated, no one uses it, has a page, but Cardano couldn't get one. There's something seriously wrong with the quality control mechanism, and we need to improve that. So it'll get done. Okay. Let's get to your questions. And the advantage I have with this new software is I can just click on your question and and it will come up for everybody.